Hello everyone, and welcome to our first show of Success Leaves Clues. As you'll know, today we have Josh and Rachelle from Power Couple Hustle. Josh and Rachelle, thank you ever so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
I mean, we're doing some pretty cool things together, aren't we? We've got DT next week, and he's coming on board. So, can you tell the audience and tell everyone a little bit about your backstory and who you are?
Cool. I'll let my better half start.
Hi, so I'm Rachelle. I'm a Filipino-British entrepreneur. Was originally born in the Philippines, and I come over here when I was 4 years old. So I really was from a third world country where I had nothing. And my mum worked herself out of poverty to come over here to the UK. And my father adopted me, so his name was Solan, and from then we've had a roller coaster of a ride in the Solan family. We've gone up and down. Our family went bankrupt. We lost it all, and because of bad businesses. So my father had bad business moves. He didn't know what he was doing, and he was an amazing guy. He was very intelligent. He was a barrister. So since then, I've taken the path of becoming picking up from his failures and making sure that I continue his successes. And now me and my power couple, we're running successful businesses in the UK, and we're looking to actually go global.
And Josh, what about your...
So 6 years old, grew up on a council estate in southeast London, severely dyslexic, dropped out of school at the age of 14. At the age of 19, I basically continued my passion for martial arts, which I started at the age of 6, and I actually moved to China. So they took me to a small martial arts school, and I'm thinking I'm going to the Shaolin Temple, you know. So they've taken me to this school, and I've jumped out the car. I'm like, right, I'm here to learn the real Shaolin. I've done this for years in the UK, and now I'm gonna learn from the masters, the pros. And it wasn't like that. They took a year's worth of money up front from me, gave me 3 bad meals a day, and I was just being punished basically and tortured.
And you were there for how long?
For just over 3 years.
Just over 3 years. And so when did you meet? Because you how long have you two been together now?
We've been together for 12 years.
12 years. So how did that?
During my training, I completely tore my ACL out, and I made a decision. I'm not going to have an operation in a village. It's just not going to happen. So I was forced to come back home. So I came back home. I needed a friend. So I searched on the internet for a friend. And I met Rachelle online. So that's how we got together.
Okay. But you went back, didn't you?
Yes. So when we first got together, I kind of felt in a bit of a dark place. Suffered a bit of depression because of my injury. I felt like I was going backwards in life. You know, I tore my flat apart from being in this dark place.
And you were with him at this time?
Yeah, well, I was with him. I supported him in what he did, and I knew that it was just a massive culture change.
I mean, at this point, how long have you been together?
Months?
Yeah, like 7-8 months.
So months, and then to give up everything to go the other side of the world.
I was irresistible, obviously, and that's why it all happened so fast.
Confidence in abundance.
Yeah. You need that for business, confidence.
So how was that then when you went there? Was it what you expected?
No. Guy, I thought it was going to be Beijing, you know, like the city where everything happens. And I was put back in a village, and I said, this is where I came from, you know, when I was 4 years old, and you put me back here, and this is what my mum worked her head off to come back over here. So it was tough, but I supported him, and I said, look, we've got a few months left here because cash flows were tight. And I said, I want to do something because I'm getting itchy now. I'm getting itchy feet. I need to do something with my career.
You realised, I mean, at that point that Rachelle had given up everything for you, and then you were like, that was unfair, I suppose, for that. So then you obviously, how did you deal with then having to come back?
So we came back. She said, look, let's do a martial arts school. Look at what Shaolin Kung Fu has done to you, and the whole spiritual thing. It's transformed you as a person. It's made you a lot better. You could help so many more people, you know. And then when I told my master in the temple, this is what I want to do, he said to me, number one, it's the right decision. But he goes, whatever you choose to do in life, make sure you try and help people physically, mentally, and spiritually. You know, if you can help people grow this way, you'll do a lot more good in the world. So all of our businesses have been based on trying to help people feel good about themselves and change their mental state. When you can change your mental state, you can change your physical state a lot easier, because everything starts with mindset. You know, you hear a lot of influencers talk about mindset. So back in the UK, moving with our parents, and we put up an advert online. We didn't even have a website this time. We just put up an advert online, Kung Fu in the Park, this time on a Sunday, and away we went. We started off with £400. We took that from the park to a full-scale martial arts clubs with over 350 students in the space of about 18 months, turning over 6 figures. Just us as a partnership, as a power couple.
Wow. Okay. And where is that?
That was in Southeast London.
Southeast London.
Yeah.
Yeah, Southeast London. We found a hall on the back of a council estate. You know, I've always wanted to help the underdogs, so you know, I put the business or the club in an environment where I can pull kids off the street. You know, help teens, adults. You know, people who need a chance or an opportunity in life. And I wanted to be that person, the mentor, the uncle, the father figure, to change them for the positive.
Okay. And do you still have some of those students now today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of them even worked for our companies for a number of years, you know. So I had a student, 16 years old, you know, he was into just gang fights, you know, knife crime, you know, smoking weed, doing drugs all day long, turned up at my doorstep. First day we opened the club and said, I want to be a fighter. So, okay, it's not a problem at all. You want to be a fighter. So he learned very quickly to change that attitude. I think it was probably the first lesson. We kicked the hell out of him. Now I'm really proud to say he just bought his first property. He's studying to be a chartered accountant, moved in with his girlfriend. His younger brother, what was a student of mine as well, 18 years old, he's just going off to university in Leicester to study business and management. You know, and I'm not saying that they made these choices because of me, but I'd like to think that the martial arts and the knowledge I got from China, from my teachers, that I've just passed on to them, the borrowed information, has helped kind of mould and shape them.
So let's go back to China. So you obviously gave up everything to go back with Josh, and you were there for how long? How long were you there for?
We were there for 6 months. To be fair, it was the worst experience of my life in China. I gave everything up, the nice luxury home that I had, the cars, a nice job, paying job, to go back into a third world country, a village where I was showering in mud because that was the only facilities I had. It was full of boys, so I was the only female who was allowed in the temple because of his credentials. So everyone would stare at me and try and peek through when I'm showering as well. So obviously the privacy that I'd never had. I had no electric. It would run out of electric. Hot water would never be there. I'd shower in cold water. So it was tough. It was really tough.
This was 6 months, and
the chickens.
And I had chickens around me, and they petrified me. I have a big phobia on chickens, so they're literally. I'd be waking up with scared every day because of running around, and I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna come and get me. So that's what I was living on. I was living in fear, and I was living in dirt, and I couldn't speak the language. I can't speak Chinese, so they're all looking at me and they're trying to talk to me.
How did that make you feel?
Oh, I felt like a prisoner.
And what were you thinking at this point?
I felt I'd probably taken care of my selfish needs, you know, and Rachelle had sacrificed everything she's got. She says luxury life, you know, a Peugeot 206 isn't luxury, right? But her life was a lot nicer to where I'd taken her, you know, and I showed her these pictures of these beautiful mountains and this, you know, I painted the vision. I sold to her, right? But I did feel selfish, you know, and I thought she's not going to stick around if we don't have a conversation and figure out what we're going to do. You know, and this is where we really start becoming close and really uniting and understanding we've got to take care of each other, and it's not about her and it's not about me, it's about us as a couple. So we made the decision to come back basically and set up a martial arts club. She encouraged me. She said, look what Shaolin Kung Fu has done for you. Look what Buddhism has done for you. Imagine how many people you could help. And again, I was like, it's mine though. You know, I don't want people to take it away from me. This is for me. So my master said to me, what Rachelle said was the right thing. I should open up to the rest of the world. You know, there's going to be people out there. Even if I help one person, I could change someone's life dramatically. You know, so be selfless. That's what he taught me. So we came back and we first set up our first martial arts group in a park on a Sunday morning. We put an ad up on the internet, and that's where we started. So
how many students did you attract? So what did you do? You put an ad out on where?
It was Gumtree. We started off with £400. We had nothing. We had no students. We've never had any experience in running a business. So we just went out with passion. And we just tell everyone who wants to talk to us about our dream, our vision, our goal, how we can help them. Join our class, please. Because when one person joins and then they look around, I'm the only one here, they'd go. So we're like, how are we going to keep these people? So we'd wanted to get groups of people, maybe 2 or 3. And if we can keep them here, then they're going to stay. So within 18 months, we had 0 members. or students, and we've got 350 students within 18 months.
So you got 350 students?
350 students, and we were turning over six figures.
So we went from the park to a sports hall, then we upgraded from the sports hall to a full-time club, all within the space of 18 months. And it was just us, you know, so we didn't have anyone else, we didn't have any staff. Rachelle used me like a circus animal, just getting me to perform constantly.
I had to sell him.
And then she monetized me. So we went, completely organic, zero, up to 350 students. I was.
Did you train all these students at the same time?
Oh, we were doing 40 hours a week of teaching, or I was doing 40 hours a week of teaching, and Rachelle was running the administration and the operations of the business. So I had kids classes, adults classes, we had combat-based classes. And I was the GB team coach for 4 years. I took athletes to China, Estonia, Russia to compete internationally to represent GB. So we'd been everywhere nationally and internationally and done everything. So we'd reached the pinnacle of where we could in martial arts.
And so that was all within the first 18
to 24 months.
Yeah.
And how hard or difficult was that to then get that 350? Was it word of mouth? How did you get the 350?
It's a reputation.
And Kung Fu Panda. Kung Fu Panda was released
at
that point. So thank you, Kung Fu Panda and Master Shifu. It was really, really tough. At first, Rachelle said, let's just quit this because we're not getting no one.
We're just burning cash.
We're just burning a few hundred quid we got. Yeah. We got some leaflets done and we're just burning money. You're jumping around in a park in the cold trying to get attention. And it was, again, where you said about the 30 feet from gold. It was that close to really blowing up and we didn't know it. And that week, Kung Fu Panda was released. So we leveraged Kung Fu Panda's marketing to help blow the business up.
To the marketplace on what's happening and then use that for your sales. Okay, cool. So then, so the first 6 months, when you came back, you started building it, you did the leaflets. Within the first 18 months, you had 350 students. How many students do you have now?
I teach now purely out of passion. So most of my students don't pay. It's a closed door environment. I teach about 15, 20 guys and girls. Purely who potentially will go on and maybe help another 350 people each. You know, it's done a lot for me, martial arts. So I'll always want to keep it in my environment. But now, obviously, my family's developing, my business is growing. I need to put my attention on bigger things. But I'm creating descendants, basically.
So, for example, you've come back. I mean, you've given up everything. You've now got a successful number. I mean, how much were you getting paid well then for these 350? Where was the transition?
From Shaolin Temple Academy, our martial arts school, we then went to a gym. So what we thought was, we're winning at everything we're doing. How are we going to get our students to get the competitive edge? So we thought, let's implement a strength and conditioning gym. And we really 10x'd it. We times it by 10. So we went from a 1,400 square foot martial arts studio to 12,600 square foot gym. And with that being said, everything was times 10. The bills, getting staff, everything. And it was really nerve-wracking. I was so scared, and Josh was like, we've got to do it. The students need to get a competitive edge. Let's add a gym into it. So again, I supported I thought, I don't know how to do it. I'll find a way. I'm going to support what he wants to do. Let's do this, commit all in. And then we opened up a gym, Solan Fitness, alongside
that was your first.
Yeah, I mean, Rachelle makes it sound really easy. So I was driving around the streets looking for premises all the time. You know, I need an opportunity. And I came across this big, huge warehouse with a big to let sign on the front. Jumped online, immediately looked at how much was the rent. It was like, wow, it's nearly £100,000 a year. You know, I'm paying £8,000 a year rent in my little piddly martial arts club. And this is so much more. Oh, screw it, we'll do it anyway. We'll figure it out. So I call up the landlord, say we want to have a viewing. We go down there, have a look around. The landlord really likes us, buys into us as young entrepreneurs. You know, he was an old timer, and he really liked our story and where we'd started off from. So he was like, I'm going to give these kids a shot, you know. So he's like, right, Josh, so we can get the deal moving forwards, we need to have a 6-month deposit. And I'm like, Rachelle, do we have 6 months deposit?
I'm sorry, Dennis, we don't have it.
We don't have it. How we can't facilitate that. We've got no money for you. If we give you the 6 months, we can't open the gym. And his response, and I couldn't believe it, was, well, if you don't have it, you don't have it. And, you know, this sometimes goes back to, again, in business, about building relationships, how you communicate with people and selling yourself as an individual. Every sale you make isn't necessarily a monetary transaction. So he had bought into us as individuals, bought into our vision and what we want to create in this facility, that he was happy to take a part. I mean, he was a very successful businessman, had a portfolio of about 60 million. So for him, it was like, all right, let me do my good deed for the year and give it to the kids. you know. So Rachelle started putting together a business plan. We had about 50 grand saved. We moved out of our rental accommodation. We had a 2.5-year-old son at this stage. Moved out of our rental accommodation, living with my parents while we were trying to build and develop this gym. Rachelle puts a fantastic business plan into the banks, and it gets knocked back. And we don't give up. We don't ever give up. So Rachelle appeals, and it gets knocked back. So I'm scratching my head thinking, we need to come up with money now, because that's the only thing that's going to get the business open. So we start selling everything. We've got any jewelry, any possessions, the car, DVDs, whatever we could find, we were selling to raise money. Me being able to speak Mandarin, I imported the equipment from China. So we couldn't get the best equipment, so we got the mediocre equipment. So we got that into the gym, and we basically opened the doors with a facility half built. We had a gym and some changing rooms, and the rest of the place was...
When was this? What year?
This was 2012 August we started building, and we opened January 2013. Coldest January ever.
And it was a distressed property. It was vandalised by the previous tenant. It was awful. I looked in there and I U-turned back and I said, I don't know how we're going to do this with no manpower, no money. And it literally was, we raised volunteers, 30 of our students helped build, paint, clean, build reception counters, do whatever it takes. And Josh was there doing it with them, and it was
I thought the building was awesome. I was like, I can see the vision. Like I could walk into an empty room and I can see where everything's going to be, you know. And again, like I said about the communication, all of my students who had been following me for the last 2-3 years had bought into me as their mentor, their teacher, their coach. You know, they believed in me, and you know, I said I'm going to give them opportunities, and I did, and a lot of them worked for us. You know, some of the teenagers did work experience, some of the older guys had worked in the administration department and things like that. So I kept to my word, they kept to theirs, and they supported me. But as great as it sounds, the day we opened the door, we didn't know anything about running a business. We didn't know how to build a team, how to recruit, how to market, how to get our product out there. So we've opened up. We've got £40 in the bank account. The rent's due in 3 months. I've got 2 staff to pay. What am I going to do? What would you do?
How did you feel there?
Scared, petrified. Just didn't know what to do. You know, the staff would look at us as in for answers, and I had to give them answers. I didn't know what operations were. We didn't know how to do things. We were winging it. So when we were touring people, we had no like prospecting. We didn't know how to do that. So it was scary.
And those were the internal obstacles. Then you had the external obstacles. So my son was diagnosed with autism and speech and communication needs at 2.5, just going on to 3. We had a business rates bill racking up, which we didn't even know what business rates were, because I was so overwhelmed with trying to get this club open to start trying to make money. All of the letters were just stacking up in the corner. 10 days after opening the building, we had bailiffs turn up, cameraed up, ready to just take all of the equipment. And they was like, you've got £15,000 outstanding to the council.
So what was the turning point there? How did you overcome that?
You have to think fast. It was more survival mode. He was speaking to me. Obviously, I tried to take him off the gym floor because he's shouting around and there's members there who can hear. And he's basically saying that he's going to take this, and he's instructing people to take all our equipment. So I shoo him off in our office, and then he's looking around going, you've got TVs in here, I'm going to take that. And I had to think fast, you know, this is on lease, because I'm thinking if he takes everything, we're done. We have no business. Everything that we put our heart and soul in is gone. So I thought, I need time. I need to be buying time. So I said to him, look, if I can pay an arrangement plan, £1,000 a week, would you be able to allow that to happen? You can't take anything here anyway. It's leased out. Just had to think, and he was happy with that. And then we thought, right, now we've got more bills to pay and try and find another extra £4,000 a month.
And the moral of that is, don't break the law, just bend the rules. Okay. So sometimes you've got to. It's survival. Sometimes you've got to do whatever you've got to do. We're not harming anyone. We're ethical people. We've always been ethical. But sometimes you've got to just flex a little bit to try and buy yourself some time to get yourself out of a situation. So that's where we got up to. In regards to obviously how did we come out of it, I remember...
Well, we moved into the gym. I mean, it was so bad that we gave up our house. We lived in our parents' homes, and they were so negative in what we did. They didn't agree or they didn't support what we did because they thought it was ridiculous. They thought we were going to fail, and we've put too much time and energy into it, that they thought, just give up, go get a job where you can get paid, it's secure, just do the 9 to 5 and just get paid your wage. That's all they said to us.
The emotional blackmail kicked in. Look at your son, look at what's, you know, the disability he's got. He needs you, because we never saw him. We were 16 hours a day working from 5:30 in the morning till 10, 11 at night, 7 days a week. You know, so my parents would say, your son needs you, you know, there's something wrong with him, you need to get him seen by specialists, and you need to take time with him, and you don't know what's going to happen. So there was emotional blackmail, and then there was just quit, just give up, go get a job. You could go get a job right now as an estate agent or a recruitment consultant, make 30, 40 grand, take care of your son. You know, so we had all of these thoughts being put into our head with mediocre thinking. So we went from my parents' house to Rachelle's parents' house, and it was the same story. And I just got up and I said to Rachelle, I'm done. You can come with me or you can stay, but I'm not going to be around this anymore. You know, so I went and moved into the gym. I set up a fold-out bed on the floor in the office, and Rachelle followed with my son. And we lived there for 6 months on the floor. We didn't have any heating. And I remember my son was in between me and her, and I'm hugging them both, and it's freezing cold, and I'm just, you know, playing in my head. Like, it was like I was watching a movie, and I can see kind of like what could happen if I don't get myself out of this situation. I can see us basically homeless. You know, my son not eating and me trying to, you know, scavenge for our small little family. And I used to sob at night quite a lot. And the way I felt as a man, I felt this big. Because as a man, you're meant to be the role model in your family. You're meant to be the protector, the leader, the one that takes care of everyone. And I felt that small. Being a great martial artist, being idolized by my peers, to being seen this big, and I felt insignificant, and I needed something to kickstart me, to rewire my thinking, because I was just around negativity constantly, the problems, the obstacles. And it's so, when you're in deep water, it's difficult to see above, you know, and you're kicking and you're paddling and you're trying to find a way, and you can't think clearly, and you have stupid doubts run through your mind. So I was looking for motivation, you know, and the next day I jumped up online and I found a video clip. And the guy on the video, it was a 2-minute video clip, and he said something to me that resonated to me, and it sounded like he was talking directly to me. And he said, quit being a victim. You have a choice to do whatever you want. You have 2 hands, 2 feet, and 1 mind. You're no different to anyone else. You have the capability to achieve anything you want. But your mum and dad ain't going to get you out of the situation. Your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles. No one else can get you out of where you are except you. So that morning I made a commitment. I woke Rachelle up and I said, Rachelle, we need to go and find money. That's the only thing that's going to get us out of here. And you know, when people talk about money is the root of all evil, it isn't. Money is freedom, and it gives you choices. It's the way people look at money that can turn it evil. So my 2 students, we sent them out with 10,000 leaflets, and I said to them, I need you to get attention. Make sure every person you speak to knows there's a new gym in town. Rachelle revamped the marketing, and we targeted bodybuilders. Guys that weren't fussy. They didn't worry about it. They just like, yeah, lots of heavy equipment, a big space, somewhere they could grunt and shout. And that's what we geared all of the marketing towards. And every guy that came in, it was literally £400. Close. Let's go now, guys. Let's do this. You want to get them biceps from 18 to 19? You need these 70 kg dumbbells, or you need this, you need that. And it was just, when it's about survival, you will do anything and everything to make it happen.
And I'm not a bodybuilder. Look, I'm not in that industry.
Neither of us are bodybuilders.
So when I'm talking to someone who is, you know, they know what they're talking about. So you have to learn. You have to understand what their language. And literally from within 7 months, we closed 900 memberships on our own. Just me and Josh, because our staff wasn't capable of sales. They weren't really good. So it was just us 4 that started off in the business.
And now that business, do you still have that business?
No, we basically originally started with £50,000. All of the money that we was making, we was reinvesting. So we got rid of the old equipment that was breaking, reinvested into some of the top stuff from the US, revamped the changing rooms, built luxury studios, incorporated group exercise classes. So everything for the first 18 to 24 months was pumped back into the business. We took like a director's allowance, it was about £500-600 at the time each, and that was it. And it was just to survive.
That is something that a lot of people don't realise, and a lot of people in businesses, they do that, don't they? Everyone sort of sees, they again, that comes to that iceberg thing, they see what they want to see. They don't see that you're actually struggling, and that you put your house and you put all these things against stuff, that you're not taking that money because you're reinvesting into the business, because how you spend your money is how you make it. So once you invested into the business, then what happened?
So we started growing that business. We actually, we invested in property. So any additional profits and income we made, we invested into other income generating assets. We didn't go on holiday for 10 years. Never had a holiday together. Our first vacation together was actually Vegas this year, where we went to a big business conference. And again, it was more of a business trip to go and meet people and network with people and learn about America and what markets they have available for us as a fitness company. So we didn't do holidays. We didn't have a car for a long time. When we did, the first car was like a Ford Focus, like a 10-year-old Ford Focus. I still don't even own a Rolex now. You know, I choose not to because I'm not where I want to be financially. I haven't achieved the things I want to achieve. So I don't think I deserve the right to have something as nice as that on my wrist. We basically...
We expanded our gym.
We expanded, yeah. I'll let you talk about the expansion.
We
Yeah,
expanded
go
our
through the
gym,
expansion,
so we got a second club. So we thought, okay, let's take the concept that we have and let's improve the weaknesses. And we've come up with a better gym. So it's like a 2.0 kind of pilot. And then just from everyone interested in buying the way we've done it, our systems, we're now franchising it. So we're now franchising to the US. And we sold our first gym, our first baby. Wasn't actually intention. We had one guy that come up to us and loved it, and he's such a passionate bodybuilder and loved the gym. He's always been wanting to do it, and it wasn't for sale. And then until he said, look, price was right, and I'm a sales lady, I sold, got a good price, and you know, and then I've got the money back. We've reinvested in everything else. We're now opening up a tapas gastro lounge bar and Wonderland children's soft play. So we're dabbling in a lot of other businesses as well.
Since we come back from Miami, you've been on it.
Yeah, so we just closed a four-state master franchise agreement in the US with two guys. They're looking to roll.
$400,000.
Yeah, it was a $400,000 deal, and it was done in Miami as well.
That was on the second day, actually, in Miami, wasn't it?
Yeah. Second day we closed it. It's worth in a long term, in a couple of years, it's worth about 6-7 million to us. So once it's ongoing and open, it's worth a lot of money to us. But we're now decided going there, we're going to open up our own gyms in Florida, California, Las Vegas, because it's a massive demand. And, you know, what we have, a lot of people are interested in America.
Your plan now is to go to America, isn't it? That's your thing.
Yeah, we want to relocate to Fort Lauderdale. No taxes, guys. Well,
very low taxes.
6% taxes
6%
compared
sales
to
tax.
us. So we like it
but
over there.
yeah, and again, I've never wanted to be restricted to one area. Most people, you know, they're born in one town, grow up in one town, and die in one town. You know, and the world has so much to offer, and you should always be constantly looking to meet new people from other sides of the planet, network, exchange. You know, create long-lasting relationships, and that will ultimately help you grow as a business person long term. So when we went to Vegas, we went there with one sole purpose: to meet people who could potentially help us grow our business model in America. We didn't know anyone. And again, this comes back to the transactions I talk about, which are not necessarily monetary. We went there, we wanted to just meet people, investors, people in real estate, people in the fitness industry that could give us access and put us in front of anyone that could help us get our brand out to the US. So off the back of that, yeah, 4-state master franchise. We want to open 800 clubs across the US alone in the next 5 years. And we're looking at 3,000 gyms with 8 million members worldwide in the next 7 to 10 years through franchising.
And the big thing there is because you're working together and you've been through everything, haven't you? You've sort of been to hell and back in what you're doing, that you're actually making it happen because because you're both in the business. Like for some of us, like for me, I like holidays with the family, and the wife is into the business side. But for you guys, you're living and breathing it, aren't you, at the moment? And this is also where we've discussed about the coaching and the problems with coaches who haven't actually gone through the business and building the business and haven't actually felt that pain to then be able to teach. There's obviously a place for everything, but because you've gone through that story, you're now, you know, part of what we're all doing is that coaching, isn't it? To mentor other people to go. It isn't easy. You know, you were showering in mud and coming out of a bath, and that was horrible. And the gym, even though you were sleeping on the gym floor, and most people would say that was really hard, that was probably a paradise compared to sleeping in the village.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we that's how we looked at things. Like, just think about when we was in China. Yeah. It was literally, okay, so when we was living back in the UK, it was corned beef and rice. In China, it was just rice and veg.
With cat.
So we was already one up, you know, with corned beef. So it's a natural thing to think you're always in a bad place, but there's always someone a lot worse off than you.
You've got to sacrifice as well, you know, to get to where you want to go to. We were making good money in the martial arts school. We're a tiny little martial arts club, and we were making good money. We were winning all the competitions, but we sacrificed that to get to the next level. And we knew we want to be millionaires, multi-millionaires. So we have to give that up now, the comfort, to get to the next level. And now what we're looking to do is give up what we've got right now to go to the billionaire level. And we're prepared to sacrifice. We're prepared for anything. So you've got to have that sacrifice. And especially a lot of ladies out there who like their creature comforts and the glamorous life. And yeah, it's nice, but you have to sacrifice. I think what I want to tell the ladies out there, sacrifice to get to the goal. You need to focus on the goal. Keep the eye on the target. Don't lose focus, because I see a lot of my friends as well in business. I see a lot of focus go off. Oh, go back to the family or go out for social life. What's the target? The target is, bang, I want 800 gyms in the US. What am I going to do to get that? I need to make sure I'm in the US. I need to make sure I'm out there talking to people. So focus on the target.
And you're taking yourself, I think, out of the comfort zones. It's easy if you live, you're in the same town that you grew up in. It's so easy to fall back into bad habits or an environment that you was naturally cultivated in with your parents, and always being comforted when you have a failure. You need those big failures. If you do things that don't scare you, you're not doing big enough things either. So in order to keep motivated, excited, constantly be moving fast, constantly be doing new things or creating new targets and goals for yourself, and be willing to do whatever it takes to achieve those goals. So for us, it's immigrating from the UK to the US to make our dreams and our goals happen. Anyone who's thinking about a 6-figure income, and the people that you see on Instagram with a flash car and a Rolex, and talking about wealth, that's not what it's about. And ultimately, we want to build wealth not just for us. We could have been quite happy making 6 figures. We could have lived in a nice house, had a couple of nice cars, done the 2-3 holidays a year. But like when I thought back to my martial arts days, my master told me I was being selfish. Rachelle told me the knowledge I had that was being selfish by keeping it to myself. Me having 150,000, 200,000 pound money goals is selfish, because I can't help anyone
But ourselves.
But myself, Can't really help my parents, can't help my community. How am I going to help the world with a couple of $100,000? And ultimately, that's what most successful people are trying to do. Is it's about a greater good. The more people that we have with this mindset and trying to make the world a better place, the more that we can change it. It doesn't necessarily have to be overnight. It's not going to be rapidly, but it just takes a commitment, one, to your goals, and a commitment to say, you know what, I will do whatever it takes, no matter what. Whatever I come up against, I will crush through. If I can't get through it, I'll find a solution to get around it. If I can't do it on my own, I'm willing to partner with people. My master always told me, you can only hold 2 bowls of rice with 2 hands. How many bowls of rice could you hold with 10 people? More people eat with more hands. So you should all have bigger goals and aspirations as individuals.
So what one piece of advice then? Because obviously, you've got the power couple hustle, and there's the coaching, there's the whole thing that we're doing, like DT and his stuff, and what we're doing. What's the one piece of advice then that you would give businesses right now who are maybe finding themselves in a similar space?
I would say think big. That's probably what when we first started off, I think I wished we thought bigger. We always thought small, and that's why we made baby steps, and now we're thinking a lot bigger. Our mind's more open, nothing's capped, we don't have a ceiling to our target, and think big. So the goals are a lot bigger. You're going to hit your targets a lot easier, more, because you're going for it rather than just keeping tiny goals.
My advice would be deaf. Be deaf to the haters, be deaf to the naysayers, be deaf to even your parents if they're not encouraging you to move forward. Even before you hit success, you'll have so much criticism from people that have already given up on their own dreams and goals that want to pull you down. So you need to be deaf to all of the things that you hear around you, tunnel vision, focus on where you want to go and where you want to be and the things that you want to achieve.
Awesome. And I know you guys are doing these stories and breaking them up so you can join into your power couple hustle and sign into the closed groups. Thank you ever so much for coming, and hopefully you enjoyed that. Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.